Hello, how are you doing? Yes, I'm here talking about lag again. Lag seems to be the number one complaint that everybody, all residents have. And whilst Linden Labs can do something to combat the lag, they can't do everything. Ebbe Linden explained it perfectly in his interview that he had at Second Life's 17th birthday Meet the Lindens. I'm making this vlog to increase awareness and spread the word so that everybody realises what contributes to lag and how everybody can do something to make the Second Life experience much smoother and more enjoyable. Before I show you what Eb says on this subject, I'd like to ask you to subscribe and like this video if you liked it, and I will definitely keep this going. And now I'll show you Ebbe's answer to one resident's question about lag.
I have a question that came in from Pew Pew Zero, which I thought was rather interesting. He says combat in Second Life can be difficult for role players, as many of us continue to experience lag in multiplayer combat situations. Will we see improvements in the high latency and lag spikes after transferring all the data to the cloud? And could we finally consider Second Life to be part of the esports community with this move? And then following on from this, are there any future plans to promote gaming and target the young gamer audience?
Wow, there's quite a lot there.
Yeah.
But at the core of this is performance.
Mm,
And here is where we took a very different approach when we built Sansar than the way Second Life is built. Um, and there are pros and cons. And as usual, you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? So
mm,
you have to figure out where to put your emphasis. A game that you see today that you play with other gamers. These are highly tailored experiences. Most of them
mm,
run on top of commercial engines like Unity or Unreal that have ginormous resources working to enhance those engines and to make them more performant and visual fidelity improvements and all that,
mm,
and cross-platform support. Um, because of what Second Life is today, I couldn't rely on one of those engines. It just is not feasible for us to transition to one of those engines. And even starting a new virtual world from scratch, I'm not sure if I would be comfortable to bet on using one of those engines. There's certain problems you have to solve for when you have user-created content of the magnitude we do.
mhm,
Um, that you just open a whole can of new problems that those engines don't really try and deal with and solve for.
mm,
And so being in control of our own engine has certain advantages, but the disadvantage is that you have to do all the work of supporting your own engine. Um, so I hope that we will see some improvements in performance by going to the cloud. Directly right off the bat, we will be running on region servers that are several generations newer in CPU and GPU functionality.
mm,
So we don't yet have data on what if that could mean exactly, but I'm hopeful that that will just be sort of a benefit we'll get right away. It makes sense, but until you see it, you don't want to expect too much. But let's hope we get something from that. Um, then there's just continue to focus on performance. I mean, Second Life today is of better quality and better performance than it's ever been.
right.
Our crash rate is lower than it's ever been, and this is because a lot of bug fixing and tweaking that we've been doing for years now.
Mm,
So we continue to ship these viewers, and we continue to look at these crash numbers closely all the time to see, and we've never seen a crash rate as low as we see right now. So I mean,
mm,
that's really good progress. Another thing that's challenging is that we have a lot of users, a lot of creators that create content that have, very little understanding of how to create performant content.
Yes.
And when you look at, take any sort of MMO or any sort of game that is very popular, Halo, you pick it. The
Mm,
collaboration between the engineering team and the art team to produce that game is incredibly tight, where they polish every vertice, every texture reuse to the max, polygon destruction to the max, and the engine and the art team sort of work hand in hand to understand each other to get the absolute best performance possible. They also
mm,
make sure that the game logic sort of takes you only to places where you will see stuff you should see, and you can't go behind the scenes and see the stuff you shouldn't see, so they can again further optimize the content. And then obviously a lot of effort on content optimization, texture formats, and all kinds of technologies to get more performance in the
mm,
engine. But we just don't have that luxury of our content creators working like professional content creators at gaming studios.
mm,
And so we have to deal with some really strange content and some very inefficient content. Um,
mm,
And so when you go and buy, 500 things from the marketplace and you throw them all in one region, like your texture reuse and the number of polygons you have in that world is just beyond something any gaming studio would ever tolerate or allow.
mm,
But it's not up to us to say we're not going to allow it,
mm,
right? So areas where I think we can improve over time is how can we provide more data and information to the creators so that they better understand how they can optimize their content on our platform to be better. Um, that's and we've done some work in the past with jelly dolls and jelly babies, whatever, so that you being not a non-performant avatars, has a price because now people won't see your beautiful dress because you're just too heavy.
mm,
And that puts some sort of pressure on content creators to try and stay under certain limits and what have you. And so what more can we do to create pressure to give and a lot of that has to do with just showing people data, like, okay, this is your region, by the way, the average frame rate on your region is in the bottom, you know
mm.
1/4 of all regions. Maybe you
Yes.
should take a look at what it is you're doing, and here's some tips and tricks for what you can do to make it more performant. So there are those kinds of things I think we can do to just and help to collaborate with the creators in Second Life to produce better content.
Mm,
And then there's stuff we can continue to do, and we continue to see things we can do with better texture compression or better, uh, what do we render, what do we not render, LOD systems,
mm,
caching systems. I mean, there are all kinds of technologies we obviously can continue to work on, but it's not like we can suddenly just ship a new viewer and magically you never have lag
yeah.
again because you're still at the mercy of the quality of the content. So and there's not that many games either where you try to have 70 people or whatever all run around and do things at the same time.
Mm,
So having non-performant content with non-performant avatars with a high concurrency number is just kind of a a recipe for lag, right? And so
yes.
and so we're just going to have to continue to innovate and work with creators to um,
Mm,
collaborate, with both
mm,
information and technology to get ourselves all to a better place where lag is not as much of a problem.
mm.
Um, and
Tell
then
us your.
also, what are the ideal settings we should have for you given your machine as
Mm,
far as you know um, how much you should render and um,
mm,
so yeah, there lots of things still to work on, and but in general, I would say performance. And then you have people that they prefer to the world and everything to be beautiful, rather beautiful at a lower frame rate, and then other people would rather have it look less beautiful but be much more performant. So, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and today we kind of support both of these, where users have to go in and customize all kinds of settings to kind of get the ideal for them. Well, that's another thing that a noob would never sort of spend the time and energy to get into that stuff unless you really become a
Mm.
dedicated resident. So how can we make sure that by default things are set up right for you to get what you want there? So uh, just at the end of the day, there's no magic bullets here. It's just a lot of hard work.
A couple of suggestions have come through from Toy Soldier Thor, who suggested that you could have like a content efficiency marker on the marketplace. And someone else has said, Nick Eldritch said, you need to make content carry appropriate LI so people have a better idea of how resource heavy content truly is.
Yeah, an LI, which is a measurement
Yeah.
that's and a new user would never comprehend what that means.
Mm,
um, is not easy to compute, right?
mm,
And what is a good and what is
yeah.
bad? Well, that depends on context. What are you trying to do? I mean, if you're trying to set up in your world where it's just you and your buddy doing photo shoots, then maybe it doesn't matter. Whereas,
Mm,
so what is good, what is bad, what is light, what is heavy? I mean, it's
mm,
technically difficult, and also could be difficult to even market correctly in the marketplace to help people understand what that really means.
yes.
Um, because sometimes it's not really just about that one object, but it's the collection of objects.
Mm,
If you have 50 things, um, using reusing textures is something you should really start thinking about, right? But you didn't even
mm,
create these objects, so how do I do that, right? So
mm.
so yeah, there's again no simple solutions, just a lot of hard work.
I hope that gave you a greater understanding about lag. Please feel free to spam and share so we can make everyone who uses Second Life aware of the facts of lag. Let's band together to win this war on lag and banish that lag monster. Thank you for watching and see you next time. I promise it won't be about lag. Bye!